game.
And now it's time to answer the Call of Duty.
Barjo, it's time.
No, not now.
No, I believe we had an agreement.
Stupid web hole.
Call of Duty Black Ops has been out for almost a week now, so we're going to assume that just about everyone and their dogs have played this game twice over. But just in case your dog is stuck on a level, we won't spoil anything for you, but we are going to show you some awesome moments, starting right now.
Go, go.
It's good that there's actually something to spoil at all. You know, Call of Duty stories have always just been a bunch of scenarios played out with 50 different silent protagonists, or it's always, you know, stop the terrorist, but here you actually play a character, and his name is Alex Mason.
Isn't that the guy from Red Faction Guerrilla?
No, that's Alec Mason, totally different.
Oh.
Alex Mason
You will answer our question.
is a United States special operative who finds himself strapped into a chair being interrogated by some rather mysterious and not very nice people.
You are. What's your name?
You. He also has a voice and is easily the most memorable Call of Duty character to date, even without a moustache.
Each mission is a flashback sequence that you relive while under interrogation. And I really loved this idea badge. It just really freed up the mission's structure. You know, one minute you're running through the streets of Cuba and the next you're busting out of windows on a motorcycle.
There's just so much variety here, and the pacing is breakneck. It's like they've crammed every single action movie ever made into one big game and then cranked it up to 11, or even possibly 12. It never lets up, and just when you think, okay, I'm over this level, bam, you're back in the chair, and then bam, you're back in Nam.
It's a great mix of missions too, from political assassinations to driving a boat down Da Nang while listening to the Stones. Flying choppers, or swapping between directing and playing as ground forces from a Blackbird, or just fighting off waves of baddies. It's still very much that typical Call of Duty linear roller coaster experience, but I mean, it's great to have so much variety in there.
Yeah, and there's such great settings too. You know, the Cold War is still fairly unexplored by games, so it's a bit of a breath of fresh air taking part in all of these Black Ops, even though, you know, they're fictional. Probably. And since you'll be fighting in lots of different conflicts, you'll have access to lots of sweet gear. From AK-47s with flamethrowers attached to some good old World War II guns, and my personal favourite, shotguns with incendiary rounds. There's just heaps of guns to choose from here. Call of Duty has always had a lot of guns, but Black Ops takes the cake.
Yeah, and there's tons of different dudes to fight as well, from Cubans, Vietnamese, Russians, even British, and of course some snow Nazis thrown in for good measure. Each has their own distinct AI too, which I thought was really clever. Vietnamese, for example, will charge in big numbers, whereas the Russian Spetsnaz will tend to be more strategic and do lots of combat rolls to evade your shots.
Although sometimes those Russians, they roll when they really don't need to. It looks a bit funny. I think it adds to each location too when you have to fight a different type of AI, and some are more engaging than others, but it's good that it's there. Also, I found that your teammates were much better at taking out enemies around you. You know, you didn't feel like they weren't doing anything, which is just so common in games lately.
Also, those sections where infinite enemies keep coming at you until you move forward or back, I'd almost forgotten about those sections because they weren't in Modern Warfare 2, and at one point I was just stuck in this one bit killing dude after dude after dude, and then I realised, oh yeah, infinite. Although I have to admit I hung back a little bit just to get a few more kills in.
The campaign is a bit over 7 hours long, but it's the same intensity as COD 4's campaign, and it's just full of those holy crap moments.
Yeah, they really like to make you feel like a hero. Developer Treyarch have done a great job here, and it looks and sounds excellent. Plenty of big levels with lots of action going on. There's a fair bit of room to scale up the graphics settings in the PC version too, including a setting for extra bodies. Black Ops is the kind of game that you'll start playing and then quickly forget that you're even playing a game because it's just so good at putting you in the moment. But of course, the longevity with COD comes from the multiplayer, and we hit a bit of a roadblock there.
Yeah, so if you're a PC gamer and you went online on launch day, then you probably saw a bit of this.
And a bit of this.
And a little bit of this.
And a bit of this.
Yep. Laggy.
Apparently the console launch was relatively smooth, but sadly that wasn't the case on PC. In fact, it was pretty broken, to be honest. There's plenty of servers, but they all had seesaw pings and connection dropouts and just massive unplayable lag amongst other issues.
I guess you can expect a few problems with such a big game on launch day, but this was pretty unplayable for most of the night. The menus were also pretty laggy, and I think this is why at one point I actually lost a couple of ranks and all the XP I'd earned. That really was annoying.
Yeah, that really sucks.
But, to be fair, by the second night, most of the lag issues were solved, but there's still obviously a bit of work that needs to be done.
We've only been able to scratch the surface, really, but the good news is that the online is much more fully featured and customizable than your average FPS, and it's much more interesting than previous Call of Duties.
Along with a bunch of familiar perks, kill streaks, and weapons, there's plenty of new stuff to play with, such as a rather nasty close-quarter flamethrower attachment. There's also SAM missiles, which are a fantastic counter to enemy airborne spy planes and helicopters. Hex, there's just something so gratifying about watching a SAM missile take out an annoying, pesky helicopter, almost as satisfying as a Tomahawk one-hit kill.
I like those remote control balls of death. Sending your kamikaze buggy after a panicking enemy never gets old. There's also mortar strikes, napalm, and much, much more, but the big difference here is that in Black Ops, nothing is free.
Earning XP and leveling up still unlocks items, but you'll need to earn COD points to purchase them before you can use them. And this goes for everything from attachments to weapons to perks to even your placard. I love this, Hex. Not only is this system grandly addictive in a good way, but it also makes you put more care into building your class, and you're forced to make some tough choices. And it just adds so much longevity to the game as well. I often bail on an FPS once I've unlocked everything, and just go back for a quick fix now and then, but I can see myself just coming back here and just building more classes and unlocking as much stuff as possible until I've got everything.
I like the contract system too.
Yeah.
You have up to 3 contracts at once. They're like challenges, but you have to purchase them, and they range from winning 2 rounds in a short period of time to getting 3 shotgun kills in a row without dying, and they get harder and harder. If you fail, you lose your buyout points and you can't try again for a time. But if you win, you get the fat COD points, and there's also XP rewards too.
You can also enter wager matches, and there's a whole bunch of really fun, interesting modes here too. And if you do really well in those matches, you earn quite a lot of COD points, but if you do badly, you get nothing. And these have a buy-in as well. This is just another way to raise the stakes, and it's really intense when you have something to lose, and I think hardcore players or people who think they're hardcore will really get into this.
There's also a theatre mode now which records your plays so you can share them. The zombie mode from World at War is back, and there's also a practice mode with bots.
There's just so much to do online, Hex, and if you're into number crunching, which I am, then you're really going to get off on the stat tracking, which I did. You can see everything from the weapons you've used the most to how many kills you've gotten with that particular weapon, and even body hit locations. We should wrap this up though. Hex, final thoughts?
Black Ops single player is pure action, but they've also fixed the biggest issue that I had with the series, the storytelling. I loved it. I'm giving it 9 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Track have done a great job here. They've taken all the best parts of Call of Duty games and just mixed it into a fine single player and a robust multiplayer game. There's even a bunch of hidden Easter egg games, and one of them is Zork. Oh my god. I'm giving it a conditional 9.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Why is it conditional?
Because of the online and the lag. And
In all fairness, though, it was much better than the Battlefield Bad Company 2 launch.
Can I take this tutu off now, please? It's shaving everywhere.